Welcome to episode 21 of the Pinnacle Combat Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jim, and as always, I have my boy Dan here. Dan, how you doing on this fine Friday evening?
I'm pretty great, Jim. I'm pretty great. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been kind of a long week. It's been hot here, but
what's it been on average out there? I know it's good.
High 90s.
There's some stretches. Yeah, there's some stretches there. I'm surprised it even gets triple digits there quite a bit in the summer, huh?
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. And
I was surprised to see that.
It's crazy. I was sweating all day. My shop doesn't have any air conditioning or anything, just the office, but I'm never in there. I'm just sweating balls, you know?
Yeah, cool things happen, like the AC gets shut off because like when someone in the office is cold, instead of put on a fucking jacket. So like the guys out in the shops and the warehouses, they just burn up, you know, which is cool. Like no big deal. Like don't get a sweater. But anyway, it was funny too because it's actually like I think it's about 90. It probably was around close to that. Say today, and I was like, it was like the day I was outside digging a fucking ditch, like basically like. Because we had like the PVC pipe go and that ran the water out of the building. So like once that stops at the building, the water's gonna pile up. So we had to dig the ditch, dig the whole area out so we can cut out the PVC pipe and get it replaced. But I was like, this is a great day to be doing this shit. And it was like, what? It's at Chick-fil-A and I have like a spicy chicken sandwich in my belly and you're out in the 90-degree weather and it's like 2 p.m. It's great.
Yeah,
how was your day? But we're here now.
Yeah, we're here now. We don't have to think about that. Sorry to bring up bad memories.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. It was great. And to go to the gym is a good workout. But I've been excited about this weekend in particular because the fights are so good tomorrow.
Yeah, well, if you want, I know you have the PFL on right now, right? You have the main card just starting, correct?
Yeah, they're kind of doing their little. You know, like they kind of mimic, I think, a lot of ways UFC. They're doing their first, the little intro for their main card. You got Randy Couture, Dan Hardy, always one of my favorites, especially like someone who breaks down fights. I don't think there's someone better than him, honestly. And then dude Sean O'Connell, which I think he won. He was UFC vet, but I think he also won one of the $1 million prizes in PFL before he retired, which is cool, right? Nice, get one of those, and then you just get put up in the booth because he's a good personality, so he's good at what he's doing. I kind of like what they got going. They got Big John McCarthy doing, like kind of like maybe you can call it like more so like maybe the Dean Thomas kind of role he has. You know, I love when they put Dean Thomas in the.
Oh yeah, I love him
as a commentator. He's one of my favorites, man. Because he's so goofy, he's so funny.
Yeah, he's funny.
Like he is like so full of personality, but he's also like super knowledgeable. I mean, and then some. He's like absolute pioneer. He's been in the game for, man, I don't know how long. Because you figure you had a full fighting career in the UFC, and then I know I'm sure he trains others, but one of his main ones is Jillian Robinson. I know he's been training her for a while. She's like phenomenal on the ground. She's like a tough fighter. So
who's that other girl fighter with the red hair that fought like 2 months ago?
That might be the Jillian Anderson. I'm sorry, Robinson. Yeah, Jillian Robinson. She's from. I think she fights out of Florida, but she's from Canada.
Yes,
she's awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and her ground game is because what I like is that she'll consistently use strikes on the ground to get those submissions, as opposed to like someone who's more submission oriented. They're just going for the position. They're kind of holding on. They're kind of trying to
very
get in a better position or advance.
She's very active.
But that's how those things, in my opinion, seem to present themselves more often. If you're throwing these wild shots and these wild elbows down, depending on where you are, like I think that kind of creates different scenarios for someone to get that. And she seems like she's very good at doing that. That's a lot of their first instinct. If you have like a half guard, or if you have even like obviously full mount, and you're throwing those heavy strikes down, they're going to want to turn to give their back. That's why she always seems to she always seems to be in those type of positions, and her striking's gotten better. So,
Yeah, for
but yeah,
sure.
no,
Yeah.
I know we kind of went up, but yeah, but
Dean Thomas.
Dean Thomas is awesome, man. So PFL has Big John McCarthy kind of doing that similar thing. I just think they have a lot of good knowledgeable names. PFL's kind of I enjoy watching what they put out.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty good.
and I'll kind of I'll give you like updates as it goes, but there has not been a fight live yet in the main portion. It's only 4 fights. So that's the one thing I do not like about what it's kind of like what Bellator would do too, when they'd have these like other cards if they weren't pay per view is gonna be a tough sell for a while if you're one of these other number two. You got to just put consistent like these really good free cards. I think PFL kind of has that down. So,
Yeah, for sure.
um,
Yeah.
but the one thing I don't like is how they drag out these events. You have 4 fights, people just want to watch the fights, especially when you're there live, dude. I've been there where you feel like if there's 20 minutes in between fights, it's so shitty. You're
Yeah.
like there's no momentum. That's why I love when they UFC like the live free fights. I love those free cards because they just roll the fights. So there's no contractual obligations to wait until this specific time to start for this particular fight. You know what I mean? Because it's on cable or whatever. Um,
Yeah, the
it's so
production's
much
just
better.
better. It's all
It's so
thought
much
of
better.
like way ahead of time, and everything's exactly where it needs to be, so that if everything goes to plan, you fill out your time slot perfectly. And they're just obviously UFC is top echelon production, and they've been doing it for a long
Oh,
time. So
phenomenal, phenomenal. Yeah, especially when you tag team with ESPN. So it's like it's just you know it's the perfect time for them to be doing this too and being
yeah,
able to get that exposure because the talent is so ridiculous now. It's so ridiculous in a lot of these weight classes. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the PFL. They have a lot of names, dude. They just showed that heavyweight, like Bruno Ferreira that we talked about.
oh yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yep,
if Francis Ngannou decides to fight for PFL and MMA, that's who you probably got to deal with. So that's a crazy fight because that dude's like 6'8" or something,
jeez, oh my god.
6'7". He's around there, around that height. Um, but yeah, no, and you have just to mention it too. You got Bud Crawford, right? He's fighting.
Well, that's
I'm
what I
honestly
kind of
not.
yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to talk about next.
Oh, sure. Okay,
I
cool.
just knew,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I didn't mean to step on it.
that was the first thing I had ready to go was Terrence Crawford is fighting.
Attaboy,
But
Jimbo.
I knew
I
you were
love Bud.
watching PFL like currently, so I was like, oh yeah, let's
Yeah,
talk about PFL real quick. But yeah, Bud Crawford is fighting. What is his name? Israel Madrimov. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but apparently it's for the WBA Junior Middleweight Championship, which is would be if Terrence wins, it'd be his fourth weight class belt in his
wow.
career.
What weight is that, Jim? What weight is that particular?
I
I don't know
junior
boxing
middle.
at all.
Let's look it up. Yeah, I know there's so many. Junior middle.
Yeah, like UFC, you can do it in your sleep, or like general MMA, but um, boxing's always been. I'm always like, what? I honestly don't know much of the weights.
So the light middleweight division, also known as junior middleweight in the IBF or super welterweight in the WBA. See, this is confusing. Is a weight division in professional boxing between 147 and 154 pounds. So somewhere in that like 150 area.
Wow, see that dude? He's so good. Um, I was so tempted to be like, dude, you want to just get that? Like, I'd watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, how much is it? DAZN? It's on DAZN.
Oh, is it? Because I saw it on ESPN Plus. I think it's like $80 or something like that.
Oh,
But
really? Yeah. Well, I
it
don't know.
doesn't matter to me.
Well, the other names on the card are Andy Ruiz is fighting. So that's a good one.
There were
Um,
some decent fights. I thought I can't remember what they are, but that was the one that stuck out to me too.
yeah, Isaac
Who's he
Cruz.
fighting?
He's fighting
Who's he fighting again?
Jarrell Miller.
Yeah, Jerome. Yeah, and he's like something like Big Baby or I've seen him before.
Yeah.
But Angel Ruiz, if the right version shows up, he's very tough to deal with, and
Yeah.
looks can be deceiving.
And dude, it's like, you know, I've said this many times on this podcast, but I haven't been into boxing for a long, long time. I'm not up to date on it. And it's not at a point right now, at least for me, where I'm willing to dish out $80 to get one of these. Just mainly because, I mean, me and you are huge UFC fans, and like another $80 a month for boxing, it's just a lot of money, and
I like it.
I just haven't been up on it very much. So, but
Good sell.
but
I'm sold.
if I was to watch one, it would definitely be Terrence Crawford because he's
So
actually
fun to
been
watch.
putting people out. Like I think his last 10 fights were knockouts, right? Something like that. I have his thing up here right now. He knocked
Yeah,
out Errol Spence Jr.
which is
That Sean
there might be
Porter,
only one person at that weight that can do that.
Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Jose Benavidez Jr., Jeff Horn, Julius Ndongo. Feel what's that mean? What's RTD mean? Oh, retained. Oh,
RTD.
retained.
See, that's not like a terminology that I'm thinking about. Yeah, retained.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
yeah. I don't know.
I don't
John
know. I've
Molina.
had some cruisers, Jim. I've had some sun cruisers, you know?
So, so his last decision was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was when he. So yeah, I think it was his last 10 fights because he was 30-0 when he knocked
Wow.
out John Molina Jr. And then every other fight since then has been a knockout as well.
You know what's crazy too? I'm pretty sure he is also someone who has a wrestling background.
Really?
So just like imagine the world where he like why in the world would he where he's at right now? But what I'm saying is like imagine just a different scenario where he just pivots
Wow, that'd be
and just starts
amazing.
kickboxing. It's like because I know he has a I'm pretty sure he is someone who has some type of a wrestling back. I understand it might not be a well, but he he's wrestled before. That's the thing. You have GSP. He has no high school. Like I don't know if he even wrestled in high school. I don't think he wrestled in college. But then he became one of the better wrestlers in MMA by training with the Canadian Olympic team
Yeah.
by just hard work and being an athletic person who's someone he's a good fighter in general. And then so you just don't know. Imagine just like the sky's the limit for a guy like that. So if you can't take him down, you are
Yeah,
so
that's it.
fucked.
And
'Cause
like a guy
he's like, yeah,
like you were saying, like a guy like Terrence Crawford with his mindset. Imagine if he added some more skills to his bag. That'd be insane. He would just have to find a way to mix it up properly, and that's it. Like he could be. I don't know. I like again. I'm not up on it, but from what I've been watching the whole week, like I sent you that video a couple days ago. It
yep.
was almost like an embedded type, UFC embedded on YouTube. They did something similar for this Terrence Crawford fight, and I thought it was really well done. It was cool. It was awesome, and it got me actually like excited about the fight. But what I was gonna say was, what the hell was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Shit. It'll come to you in a second. I think. I hope. We'll see.
Yeah,
So,
if you could, if he had the
Bud
mindset,
Crawford, you're watching that.
yeah, if he had the mindset to mix it up and start training other disciplines, it'd be insane. It'd be crazy if he made the transition to MMA or something like that. Um, but yeah, he's just a maniac, dude. He's so good. Like I've watched clips and I haven't watched any full fights yet, but oh, that's what I was gonna say. According to what they're saying and according to his like what I just saw on his like record and everything and how good he is and how he's a weight 3 different weight division champion so far. I don't know, man. He might be one of the best fighters of our generation. We're just like not watching it, and that bothers me. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know. That's why I'm like, I'll fucking buy it. I don't give a shit. So we'll see. We'll see. But all right. So the thing with him is that now he wants to fight. He wants to eventually fight Canelo. Now
Oh, yeah.
imagine if he fights Canelo and beats him,
That solidifies it right there.
100%. And I
That
think he
that'd be
can.
one everybody's got to get. I would
I think he
absolutely
can do
watch that. Yeah.
because that's the thing. You have to, like, as big as Canelo has become much bigger of a fighter, but he's still, in my opinion, his frame and his stature belongs at a lower weight class. So someone like Bud Crawford who can bring like a, a pretty, I would imagine pretty damn good length, and then he's going to bring a similar weight naturally to it because it's probably what he walks around at anyway. So then you're going to have that coupled with you're fighting a bigger guy, but yeah, but he's not someone who's going to be the bigger guy that has the physical advantage. Then I think you'd worry about that because then you're at a disadvantage twofold because the guy's bigger than you and his reach. So that means he can kind of tee off on you. It kind of becomes more of a dangerous thing as opposed to I bet you those two aren't that different if you saw them go face to face,
Yeah.
size wise.
Well,
And it's
Crawford has
boxing,
a
so
Crawford has a 4-inch reach on Canelo.
wow, that's it. See, so there you go. I mean, so he fights at he can fight around 150 ish. What's Canelo at these days? Isn't he in the 160s, right? Is that high? 160?
I'm not sure.
I'm curious on that because I think he's kind of gotten. 'Cause I remember when he fought Floyd, he had to really suck down. That was all like just business and smart on Floyd's part, but
Yeah.
he had to suck down I think quite a bit to make whatever weight they agreed on.
Yeah, but that would be. I mean, I still want to say that'd be an amazing fight. That'd be fun.
I wonder what they'd agree at because I'm wondering if let's just say Canelo's at 168. I don't know, I'm just guessing. And then if Crawford's around, like you said, low 150s, maybe try to make it around 160. You might have to go 165 because I don't know what Canelo can do
Hmm.
after being because he's kind of been quite a he's fought quite a bit at a bigger. See, that's the thing too. I don't really know the weights well, so it's hard
Yeah,
to
it's
speak
there's
on
so
it.
many. Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know. It doesn't seem as absurd of an idea as I think a lot of people might initially think when they hear it. Uh, I really do think Bud Crawford, like you said, he's one of the best talents. His ability as a switch hitter, it's a very, like Rogan says it all the time, and I mean, as far as what I see, because my favorite boxer from back in the day, like watching all the highlights, like obviously Tyson is always a name you mention, but for me, Marvin Hagler's always one,
Yep. Yep.
and he was such a phenomenal switch hitter, and he was truly dangerous in both stances, and that's what Crawford's like. When you watch him fight, it's like he's not switching stances because he wants to throw a particular shot or two that he throws better in that stance. He's in that stance comfortably in a fluid, like he's either stance, he's very fluid,
Yeah, for sure.
which is very, very rare. I think in any combat sport discipline, honestly. I don't think there's that many fighters that have that ability.
Well, I'm
Even
definitely
now.
going to be looking forward to. I'm not going to get it live probably, but I'll be kind of trying to stream it if you know what I mean. And I'll definitely be looking for the highlights afterwards. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight. And I guess the other guy, we should talk about him too because he's fighting as well. Um, Madrimov he's undefeated as well, so it's also undefeated records going against each other. But he's only 10-0. And it
Okay.
says here, at least on this website, I think I'm on CBS Sports, that Terrence Crawford is favored negative 700 for this.
I honestly thought it'd be more. Okay.
Yeah, so did I, because he's got 30 fights on him. Well, not only that, but he's beaten a ton of great guys, and yeah, it's just
I'd be curious to see what this dude's amateur record is. So if he was someone who had a ton of amateur record, like a full amateur record, you'd be like, okay, maybe he was aggressively pursuing like hard fights for a long time. Like I would imagine that's what Lomachenko was doing. I don't think a lot of those fights were easy fights, but maybe they were early on. But like they said he had like I want to say it was like 300 or 400 amateur fights before he went pro.
Hmm.
So it could be deceiving because then like you'll see like if you watch it on paper, you're like at one point you'd see Lomachenko at a record similar, like you said, 10-0, and he's fighting a guy that might have a better appearing record. I'm not saying that's going to happen at all because you know who I'm picking. You know who I think. I don't know this. I don't know this guy, but I just until someone shows me something. I mean, Errol Spence. I thought Errol Spence is he's a very dangerous boxer, and I thought he's going to be something. I thought he was going to be something that Crawford would struggle at some point with, and he didn't struggle at all with him. And that dude has a lot of power. So it's for Crawford to be in. He came pretty much in every that scenario. He came up pretty much unscathed, like in a lot of ways. Like there were not many scenarios where he got hit.
Yeah.
Very clean by it. He controlled everything for the most part, and it was just an absolute, like a master class. Because I don't know if there's anyone else that can do that to him.
Well, I
think Errol Spence is one of the best too.
I just looked up Madrimov's amateur record, and this is what it says. Madrimov was trained and brought through a proven system as an amateur, where he compiled a 79-18 record with 12 knockouts. Uzbekistan has a strong boxing tradition with a reputation for top-notch training. So he has 90. He has 90 plus.
I figured it would have been a lot, right? Yeah. Okay. I figured, but still, okay. So, I'm not saying I'm rich,
but only 12 knockouts.
Yeah, the record's not great, but it's not bad at all. But I'm saying it's like I don't know, 18 losses as an amateur, and you're fighting Bud Crawford. I guarantee you, there's no one in Uzbekistan that fights like this guy. There's nobody that they can be great, and they are great, but they're not that dude. That dude's something different. So could be wrong.
Yeah,
you could be something crazy, but I got a feeling you're gonna see you might see a clinic, but
which is
I'm rooting
also
for it.
Just as much of a reason to watch. I mean, some of these boxers, like, we watched the Lomachenko fight not too long ago. I mean, even though it wasn't close, I loved just watching his technique and how good he was at boxing.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bud Crawford's the same way. He's just so, from the clips I've seen, just so much fun to watch. And you're watching an artist, like an actual artist out there, So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to definitely find it. And, yeah, I can't wait, man. And if he ever fights Canelo, we're getting it, hands down. Have to do it.
100%. Yeah. I admire someone who like the way he like has like these stance switches that are so fluid, and then he's constantly like he can throw a step in, and like his left straight and his right straight they're so equally great. You really can't tell where he's more dominant.
Yeah.
That's why it's like that's my favorite. Like that would be if you were gonna be a fighter, that would be the number one thing I would aspire to. I would be like, just drill the shit out of that.
Right.
Because if you can become very equal with the fluidity that you throw your left and right hands, that's just like so. I think that's so valuable.
Well, it's like, and you're a big you're a big basketball fan. It's the same thing with that. If you can turn to your left or right, if you can hit the hoop from the left to the right, that's way more advantageous in your game. If you can get just as fluent on the left side of your body as the right in any sport, really. I mean, you're seeing some guys even in baseball that can switch hit based on whoever the pitcher is. That's
crazy.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, it's advantageous in every sport and everything you do.
I remember we would be all on the bench, and it's like all you have to do is kind of like change the position that you play in defense. But if you knew the ball handler playing basketball, if you knew he had no left hand, you'd be like, just pivot and shoehorn him left. The whole bench would be like, he's got no left. They'd all be yelling it.
Yeah.
It's like just you make him go left, he can't. So it's like you need to be you need to be at least adequate with both. But
Yeah.
like
And
Crawford is just like
that's a
unreal.
strategy in MMA too. Back to UFC, which we can pivot to. Is that's a big reason probably why a lot of people lay on the leg kicks. You know, you
Yeah,
force him to fight southpaw, and then like
very true.
you have a huge
Yeah,
advantage. You know.
yep.
But speaking of UFC, before we get into tomorrow's Abu Dhabi card, which is amazing, which is why we're here, I wanted
Yes.
to announce, well, not announce because they've been announced, but I wanted to talk about some fights that were announced this week. Mainly the fights that were announced for UFC 307 in Salt Lake City, which we were talking about maybe going to that, but I think we're going to stick to Vegas. But let me just rattle some of these off.
Sure.
This first one, it says it's the co-main event. I'm not sure if they've officially announced this, but they have it up as if they had. Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena for the Bantamweight Championship, which the winner of that will probably fight the winner of this next fight, which is Kayla Harrison versus Ketlin Vieira. That should be a great fight. Then
Yes.
we have Evlodev versus Aljamain. We have Jose Aldo and Bautista. We have Rodriguez and Lucindo. We have Chris Curtis and Kevin Holland. Esparza versus the other Pennington. What's her first name? It was
That I
Raquel
believe that's
and
what was it. Tisha was it Tisha
yeah, Tisha
Torres, and now
Torres.
she's
Yep,
married
yeah,
with Tisha Pennington. Yeah.
yep. And then Potiera and Almeida. Great, amazing card. And I don't think it has a main event yet, according to this post that I saw.
Doesn't have a cherry on top yet, but
I know.
that's
Yeah,
a solid card as far as matchups are concerned.
yeah, yeah. And all very important fights too for all these fighters.
Very much so. Number one for me that I'm excited about out of all of them is probably Ketlin Vieira and Kayla
Yeah,
Harrison.
yeah. That's a big one.
I like that
Um,
style. I like that matchup.
I also like Jose Aldo and Batista too.
I mean, give me a Jose Aldo fight any day of the week, man.
Yeah,
Been
right.
watching
I
him since
know.
WEC, dude.
Oh yeah.
We've been an Aldo fan for forever.
I know he's a lot older, but he looked great in his last fight. He
Oh,
outperformed. Remember he had a huge performance. I can't remember what event it was, but I was blown away by how good he looked.
it was his boxing, man.
Yeah, he looks so good.
Because he kind of went away a little bit and did a little bit of. I know he took some professional. I think they were professional boxing
Yeah, yeah.
matches, and he did well in them, if not all of them. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember seeing him like, oh, he looks. He always had like a crisp right straight. Like his right hand was always really good,
Yeah,
and
he had a
he
good
obviously
snap to
his
him too.
kicks were great. Great, yeah, exactly. You just knew where he was. He had some superior weapons, and I remember watching him, and I was like, he throws the best flying you've ever seen. I was like, he throws the best leg kick I've ever seen. Like he had certain things, like his leg kicks. I'm talking as far as damage. I mean, you saw Uriah Faber's leg, man. That's insane. That's a crazy photo. You ever seen that one? Remember?
I'll look it up
I
right
think
now,
it
but
was
I do remember, but I'm gonna look it up right now.
that was a that's such a crazy photo Uriah took. His whole thigh is like just purple.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Wow. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah, that one's wild.
For
So
anyone
anyone that,
listening, just type
yeah,
in Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, and then look at images. It's wild.
but yeah, the leg is what, and then all you have to do is watch that fight, and you'll be like, okay, that's okay. So he got hit with a baseball bat for three rounds. Like Uriah Faber was so tough, dude. Like obviously, all these guys are like it goes without saying, but you always want to point it out because it's like you remember those moments. Like remember, so we saw that where you go 3 rounds. It might have been five. I can't remember what it was, but you're going full. I remember him in the later rounds with two broken hands, throwing
Oh
elbows
yeah,
against
for
Mike
sure.
Brown in WEC.
Yep, I remember
Like
that.
we've been watching it for a long time. And it's like you got yeah, that dude.
It's crazy.
But
But yeah,
what a
that Salt Lake card is looking amazing. And we've been talking about this the whole year. Well, since we've been doing this in April, every pay-per-view card this year pretty much has been just off the wall, dude. Like amazing. It's been crazy.
their roster's getting insane. We've talked about it even before we were recording, like, and we'll continue to say it, just the way the amount of talent that's like been coming into the UFC like in the last, I don't know,
2 or 3 years.
just
Yeah.
yeah,
Since the
just
pandemic.
small win. I mean, dude,
Also,
there's
that pivots me right into, I think we're 2 weeks out from Contender Series starting back up.
I always like watching that. Is it still Tuesday night, right?
I believe so, yeah. Isn't Rojas Jr. going to be on it? I think I saw that. Did you? I know he's already in UFC though, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe it's like a guest commentator or something. I don't know what he.
Contender Series. Hmm.
You figure O'Malley's your biggest name because you figure what he's kind of done with it. I remember watching that fight live.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe he was
Okay,
already on it, but I thought I saw a commercial.
he did
Um,
come from Contender Series, so I mean, there's been a lot of really good fighters in him. Like I said, Sean O'Malley's probably your one of your top ones just because he looks like he's going to be
yeah,
flirting with the pound for pound rankings for a while as long as he stays champ, and it's going to be tough to knock out that dude off that throne with the frame he has and the skill set he has.
yeah, for
He just
sure.
gets he's getting better and better and better, and he's not easy to take down. So it's like I'm looking forward to seeing that fight with Marab. That's fear. That I mean,
Yeah,
we'll talk about that another day. Don't get me going, Jim.
yeah, because as of right now, it seems like me and you are going to be live in Vegas. Not live at the Sphere because the tickets are outrageous, but we're going to be
Yeah,
in
that's
Vegas
an
that
IQ test.
weekend. And we'll probably do a couple, like a pre and a post from Vegas for everybody
Hell
listening.
yeah,
That'd be cool. That'd be fun.
hell yeah.
But let's get into tomorrow's card. The reason for this whole pre-episode from Abu Dhabi. It's amazing. Let's start top down. What you think? Let's run through them. Corey Sandhagen and Nurmagomedov. What do you think?
Man, it's gonna be man. It's one of those matchups where it's such a great matchup. I have no idea how it's gonna go down because you got like a guy like Sandhagen. He's pretty much dangerous everywhere, and so is Umar. Uh, I'm kind of curious to see what fighter, what approach they take. Like, what are they going to try to stand? Is it going to be more wrestling based? Is kind of curious to see where this fight. What do you think as far as where this fight's going to predominantly take place? Do you think it's going to be more like grappling and people one side or another trying to go for takedowns, or do you think it's going to be primarily m most of the 5 rounds are like a more of a stand up affair? What do you
Well,
see
I
is more
mean,
likely?
it's a Nurmagomedov, so there's going to be some takedowns every
For
round.
sure.
He's going to shoot at least once.
But he's such a good striker too. So it's like you wonder, like, yeah, I kind of wonder what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, and Corey's really great on the ground. So even if you bring him down, that there's still a threat there. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure he's always very good. And then I bet that loss to Aljamain on the ground
yeah,
made him want to level up even more. So
yeah.
he did. He's dangerous everywhere.
But
It's just what I
these Nurmagomedovs, dude, they're like a bear. There's something about their strength. It's like farmer strength. Like when they get
yes,
you down,
it's just thrilling.
you can't move. You can't do anything. There's not much you can do. They don't leave any room for error. Everything's
They've been
tight.
doing this so long. Yeah, because they everything. I bet if you're coming from something like Habib, I bet everything's so tight and there's like just zero fat on the training part. So
Hmm.
that way when you see a fight night, it's the same product. So it's just everything's so clean.
Yeah.
Umar's fun to watch because honestly, he's just like a more of a. I think he's a very talented striker. Whereas opposed to like Khabib was dangerous on the feet as far as offensively boxing mainly, and he'd throw some different unorthodox strikes,
Yeah,
but
but those were all to set up the takedown for him.
exactly. But the
Yeah.
best part about his striking was his defense. I don't think it's something that people talk to. Like, his striking defense was very good,
Yeah.
like great. Like there's a reason why he didn't take much damage, and it's not just because he was an overwhelming wrestler.
Wrestler, yeah.
He got you there, but his his striking defense was very good. You figure even when he fought Edson Barboza was as much as he was getting mauled. There were so many times where he's throwing these wild ass strikes, and like the whole time Habib's just completely like defensively responsible.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the part of what I like about Umar is he's kind of like a hybrid in between like Habib and Islam. You know, Islam likes to strike a lot. Um, but I think Umar's he's got a lot of both of those guys' games. I think his defense is pretty tight. So I think it'd be tough.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm Umar,
Tough for Sandhagen
I'm looking out for a flying knee. You don't want it because
for sure.
Corey's really big on those flying knees, and they come out of nowhere. And especially if you're going to shoot on him, Sandhagen will
Yeah,
throw that knee, and he won't.
and he should.
And he's not the type of fighter to second guess himself either. He's a veteran. He's been around for a long time, and there's that fly. I can't remember who he was fighting. Maybe you remember, but that flying knee knockout was just like out of nowhere. Just jumped into
It's
it like I was out.
my boy Frankie Edgar, unfortunately.
Oh, it was Frankie. Oh, he's done it
Yeah,
multiple times though. I think hasn't he, or no? Or was that the only one?
that was that's the number one highlight one. Unfortunately, it was beautiful, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great fight. It definitely could go either way. I think Sandhagen knows that this is his best chance at a title, um, whereas Nurmagomedov has time. I think Nurmagomedov has more time than Corey does technically in his career, but I think this is the closest Corey's ever been, and it's a big test. And yeah, I think a lot of people do want to see Sandhagen versus O'Malley. I think that'd be an awesome fight.
yes,
So this is a huge fight, obviously for both guys. I think whoever wins gets a title shot. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. The odds right now are Nurmagomedov is favored -305 according to UFC.com at least, and plus 245 for Corey. But
hmm
yeah, I think it's a little closer than that. But yeah, it's gonna be great. So the co-main event, Shara Bullet, and how do you say this guy's name? I can't. You had it close last time, so
it's like Oleg
yeah,
something
something
like
like that.
that.
Yeah, Mikhail.
Yeah, Oleg or in the
So
middle you kind of just you shuffle. You know, Jim. In the middle
Oleg
you go shake, and then
Oleg Shashek,
as
something
long
like
as you're close in the beginning and the end, it sounds like you knew what you were said. You know, like that's kind of what I'm going to be honest. That's kind of the approach. But it's somewhere it's somewhere in the ballpark. But that dude he has really good power in his because he was at 205. Um,
Oh, really? He came down to middleweight?
yeah, and he has knockout power there. So this is an interesting fight. It's a good fight because it's a fight that I'm pretty sure both guys are going to want to stand. So
Yeah, I
it
agree.
favors, yeah. So Shara would, that's where he wants it. He's shown improvements in his wrestling, but um, also with middleweight division, not to say I'm not saying there's not well-rounded guys who can wrestle, but there are divisions in the UFC where you're like, that's the division who has a lot of wrestlers. And I don't think that's middleweight per se,
Yeah,
especially
I
in the
agree.
top. Predominantly, it's a lot of really, really dangerous strikers for the most part, especially now. So with that said, like, I mean, I really like that fight. I mean, the next one we're going to get into is that's the true one I'm most excited for. Like, obviously, the
Well,
main
yeah,
event
let's get it.
is
Let's get
number
into the
one.
next one then. Let's get into the next one. They're all
Dude,
great.
that,
They're all amazing matchups.
yeah,
But yeah, let's Davidson Figueiredo and Marlon Chito Vera.
that's my fight right there
That's fight of
of
the
the
night.
card. Yes, for me, that's the one I'm looking forward to because I just they're they're both so heavy forward pressure. Something's got to give, um, or there's going to be in the middle a lot with each other. So I
Yeah.
kind of think it might be that. So I think that I'm looking forward to that fight big time.
And also in terms of rankings, Chito's number 4 and Figueiredo's number 6. So
Thank you. I like that you do that because I don't see that. That's the only thing I don't see on this card that I
yeah.
have.
So that's
Four
I
and six.
mean, with that said, this is I don't let me look at the rest of the rankings cuz that could be also a title eliminator fight. Is that right?
For
Title
sure.
eliminator? Is that
They're right around there. But I mean, you figure that's
Oh,
got to
well
be
no.
next.
Well,
Sandhagen and Nurmagomedov is next, but they're right around there. You figure you could even give the winner of that fight the loser of that top fight,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I see no problems. So
And the only one not the only one we have mentioned in that top 5 is Piotr Jan. He's the only one left out of
okay,
that whole thing. He's number 3. So, and did Cheeto beat Jan? Wait,
have they fought?
have they
I
fought?
feel like I don't remember them fighting.
No, they haven't fought.
Okay,
Okay, never mind.
and
He fought
Figueredo hasn't
Munoz.
fought him either, so that could always be like I'm rooting for my boy. No offense to Figueredo, but I'm rooting for my boy Cheeto Vera because I've always been a fan. I like
Yeah, he's
he's
fun.
just I mean he's fought exactly. He seems like an awesome dude, and you root for those guys, especially the guys that are just like that's why when I watched that fight, I was like, okay, now you're kind of seeing O'Malley do. He's kind of becoming something that's truly he's become like a great mixed martial artist,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I don't think a lot of people really see it that way quite yet for whatever reason. But like when you watched what he did, because I mean, how many people can do that to Cheeto?
I know, right? Yeah,
That's very difficult to deal with that much forward pressure if you can't put someone away like that.
for sure. Yeah,
And there aren't many fighters that can deal with that. At that, he's so like it's insane the amount of punishment he took. Like that step, it was more. I don't think it was a jump. I think it was more like a step in knee, but that
yeah.
it was
That
a knee,
knee to
right?
well, yeah, kick slash knee to the face, right?
Something like that. Whatever it was, that I mean, I mean, Jesus. Like,
It connected straight on, man. Like anyone else.
but I love watching him fight. I love what so I will be rooting for him. But you know, either way, that's just a phenomenal matchup.
Yeah,
Um, you figure with the next fight, Jim, you're hoping Tony Ferguson. It's Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa. You're hoping Tony Ferguson uh, shows a good account of himself. I feel like it's a good. I feel like it's a pretty good matchup on paper, potentially. Um,
yeah. I mean, here's another
because
thing to think
yeah,
about
sorry, go
too.
ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely a great matchup on paper. Michael Chiesa's on a 3-fight losing streak. He lost to
I know it's
Luque, Brady, and Holland.
yeah, it's some really good
Not
names, but yeah,
pushovers. Yeah, not pushovers
yeah,
by any mean. But you know, they're both basically they're fighting for their career. Well, their UFC career. I feel like Tony's been doing that for a while now, but yeah, it's a tough fight. If well, Michael Chiesa is a negative 750 favorite.
yeah.
So I mean, and I think that's a little much. I think Tony's better than that. I think I mentioned this last week on the podcast, but I think Tony had a pretty good outing his last fight, even though he
Yeah.
lost. Um, I think he looked good at least
And I mean, the loss
against
aged well, right?
Patty Pimblett, obviously, we saw what he did last week.
Yeah, so it aged well.
Right? Yeah, I mean, and then
Yeah,
he lost to Bobby Green, King Green. He lost to
yeah.
Nate Diaz. So these are his last three fights. Oh, then Chandler, Dariush, and Oliveira. So talk about like those are
It's
no
top
none of
top
those are
level.
slouches. Those are high
Yeah.
top 10 at least guys.
Yes.
Um, and don't forget, before all those losses, he was on like a 12 fight win streak and was supposed
Sure.
to
Yeah.
fight Khabib a long time ago. So, you
The
know,
fight that never happened, Jim. That's the one
exactly
I always
right.
wanted to see.
Tripping over the
Yeah.
wire. That's all it took. But
A prime Tony Ferguson was so dangerous.
yeah. But you know that so this brings in the conversation of like, you know, obviously I think it's fair to say that a lot of people, a lot of fans watching that love Tony Ferguson would say the big the big drop off came after his loss to Gaethje, because he
That was a
got
tough fight.
beaten and battered more than probably anyone could ever get humanly possible.
He's so
Um, it was
it's
actually,
another one ability to take punishment.
yeah, it was actually like scary to watch. Um,
Yeah,
the way he was
but that
like
was also
standing there and taking all of it. Oh my, the punishment was just, oh
but it was also during COVID when there was no crowd, so there was no other sounds. So you heard all the thuds,
yeah, maybe
which was
that's
like
what made it worse. I don't know,
tougher. Yeah, tougher, I thought.
man. Well, you know, I think both of us are rooting for Tony Ferguson, but I actually like Michael Chiesa a lot too. I like him a lot. I think he kind of fell off too, but I was kind of high on him a couple years ago. I liked him. Um, but yeah, this
Uh,
a great fight, another great fight to another great card, which brings us to the next one. And your girl, Mackenzie Dern, she looks
uh,
amazing, by the way. Not just like what you're thinking, but I mean in shape. She looks incredible. Like she's like in. Did you see the weigh-ins at all?
I was even listening to what you were saying. I've been Googling. Sorry.
Well, she looked in incredible. She looks like she's in incredible shape for this fight, and Lupi Godinez is amazing in her
Yeah.
own right. So this actually on paper, this fight's just as good as the last one. I'm really looking forward to this fight too. But both girls are amazing, and I don't know, man. I don't know who I'm leaning towards on this fight. I like this is 50-50 to me.
I yeah, no, it definitely is. Let's see.
And it doesn't even show the odds for this one.
So
So it must be pretty even.
so it's somewhat like with Dern, I figure Mackenzie Dern, like her striking's obviously gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
She has struggled against people that are like predominantly strikers, but she shows like no quit, man. Like in all of her, because she's had some, like that. I think it was what maybe Jessica Andrade. She's had some tough fights, but like when you like, she shows that there's zero quit in her, which is also something that like Tony Ferguson, like we said, had like they're certain that they're never going to ever lose that. Like Diego Sanchez, there's certain names that you'll always name that no matter what was going on, there's no way they're quitting.
Yeah.
Um,
They'll find a way to pull through, and it's all
oh,
heart
like
at
I
that
mean,
point.
it's 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 crazy. So she has that, but I feel like if Lupi Godinez can get her jab going consistently, it could be difficult because I know she's a pretty good wrestler too. So it's a recipe for if her striking's going well. I think it might not be good for Dern, but I don't know. I think that a lot of these fights, it favors. I think Mackenzie Dern gets a submission here. She's just gonna find a scenario in the scrambles in the fight where her like superior grappling and jujitsu will just that all she needs is that one split second to get something because she is that great on the ground. So I
Yeah.
kind of lean towards that might happening. Might be
Well, she also is. She kind of needs a win here because she's coming off two
big.
losses,
I know it's big. I know she's dealing with a lot. There's a lot going on. I think.
and that's probably why she looks
Uh,
like she's in incredible shape because she's taken her training to the next level. It looks like. See, I posted it on the Instagram, but definitely look at the if you haven't seen it yet. The her walking up to the scale in the face
okay,
off. She looks amazing. Yeah. So.
okay, good. I'll check it out. I haven't seen it yet.
And the first fight on the main card, we have Joel Alvarez and Elvis Brenner. What do you think of that one?
That's a great fight to start the main card. I think that's gonna be a. I think it's gonna be one of the ones where it's like you'll watch it. It's like almost like the people's main event, if you will. Like those for those for those guys that have seen those two guys fight, you kind of know what they both bring. I got a feeling the next fight's gonna be. It might not be your fight of the night, but it's gonna be one of the ones early on where you're like, oh, that I kind of think you and me are right with what might be fight of the night.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Cheeto and Figueiredo for that, but I would say my second choice would be this fight. So, and it's another two guys that I believe are sitting on the outside of the top 15 in lightweight. There's so much talent that weight class in particular.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Elves Benner is very dangerous in his own right, but I think that dude Joel Alvarez is something else, man. Because that was the one I was telling you about. He's 6'3", dude. For a lightweight, that's
That's so
pretty
crazy.
wild.
How is
Pretty
that
wild.
possible?
But then you see him, like, what wait till you see him fight night. You'll be like, whatever he's doing, it's it's good because he doesn't look like a small guy come fight night. So whatever he's doing, it's working, dude. Like a 6'3" lightweight it's a problem to deal with. And I want to see what's his reach? 77. That's a great reach.
Jeez.
That's a great reach for someone who's 6'3". Uh, what? Because you figure what 6 feet? What is it? 60, Jim?
What? 6 feet?
Hmm.
72 inches.
So 72. Jesus Christ! I was thinking 5 feet. Holy shit.
That's a little
Um.
midget.
Yeah. Right. So 72. Okay. So you figure he has like essentially a 6'5" reach. If you do the
Yeah.
man, that's a pretty great reach at that particular weight class, 155.
Yeah, and you're
I
gonna be
wonder if
you're
there's
punching down, right? I mean,
you figure what maybe Jalen Turner, who else might
oh yeah,
he might
Jalen
have a
Turner. Yeah.
better reach. But other than that, I don't know if there's anyone that I can think of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a main card. This is gonna be awesome. What time does it says? What time does it start here? It starts at
Sad.
12 p.m. Pacific. So three. Well,
Yes.
that's the main card. So
Yep.
3 p.m. your time,
Yep.
which means I'll probably be watching fights at 9 a.m. Is that about right?
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. First fight at noon. So first fight for you would be 9 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Let's talk about one or two of these prelims before we wrap up, because we'll have a lot more to talk
Okay.
about on our next post episode. Whether it
Sure.
might be tomorrow or Sunday, we might do so. Whatever works for you. But what do you think? What's one or two of these prelims that you think are going to stand out?
Ooh, it's tough.
Well, Alonzo Menafield is great. I really
I would
like
say that
him.
would probably be number one for me because you figure he's fighting someone who's undefeated.
Oh yeah.
Me and my homie Azamat. Um, that's from Borat, Jim. Believe it or not. First name's Azamat, but
Believe it or not.
Mirza Khanaf. Mirza Khanaf. I don't know how you pronounce it. Goddamn, But I know I believe I've seen him fight, and he's a dangerous fighter. That'd be number one for me on the prelims for sure. Um, and then number two, Jim. I think it's like Kutaladze. It's like Jerome Kutaladze. He's from Georgia. This might have been a short notice fight because I don't recognize the guy he's fighting, but I'm still going to choose it because I don't see a part in his body. He doesn't have a tattoo on it. This lad
this
from
lad
England,
from
Jim.
England, yeah. Jordan
Dude,
Vucenic?
are you looking at him? He's got a couple tattoos, huh?
He's got a couple. I thought he was wearing a jacket.
I thought it was a blazer, dude. It was a nice sport coat. He's going for a dinner. This man's covered in tattoos.
It looks like this is his first fight in the UFC, so he doesn't yeah, it's
It
his
seemed,
debut.
which is cool because you figure now I honestly can't remember who his opponent was supposed to be. So I'm looking forward to seeing that tomorrow. But there was someone else.
So I'm on UFC.com and I clicked on this fellow with the suit jacket on, and his nickname is great, Jordan the Epidemic Vucenic.
Wow,
isn't that great? I like him
pretty
already.
great.
I'm gonna bet on him. Why not?
I'll do it for the lads, dude. Do it for the lads.
Yeah. Well, that's.
But I like
great.
that fight. I like that matchup. Also, not knowing that dude, but I know what that other dude brings because I know the first fight I saw him, I believe.
Oh, Gamrot. He fought Gamrot.
Yeah, he beat it. He won by split decision against Gamrot.
Wow. Okay.
That was the one that I really, once I saw that, but if you figure he's fought in some, like Ismagulov is really good. And I know he lost that, but you just lost a split. So you won a split, you lost a split. I mean, it's tough, man. Especially when you have 3 rounds. It's just, but his last fight he lost to Elf Brenner, but I think that, for me, that's just more of a testament to, like, Elf Brenner is a dangerous fighter too. So that's what makes that fight we mentioned earlier so good. I hope he deals with the height and the reach, because you're fighting a guy that's 5 inches taller than you. That's something that a lot of guys can simulate when they're training. It's hard to find
sure, yeah.
quality 6'3" lightweights.
Right? Yeah.
Not many out there. So I mean, you can get different weights, but then you get different speeds. You get different, like, everything's different, I think, in a lot of ways. So it's hard to completely simulate someone who has like just a physical advantage, like a physical advantage that doesn't. It's very difficult. So yeah, no, there's a lot of good fights on the prelims, man. But we'll get into those. But I mean, that's a great main card, top to bottom.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. One more sleep, man. One more sleep. And then
I love it.
nice and early day fights.
Hell yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But let's wrap it up there. We don't have to go any further. We're about an hour in, so we'll have plenty more to talk about tomorrow or Sunday, whatever's best for you. But yeah, we're pumped. We can't wait. I want to thank everyone for listening. We appreciate the support. If you're not familiar, we do have an Instagram. The only places you can find us are Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. So our Instagram handle is at Pinnacle_combat. Our YouTube channel has the same handle. So youtube.com/Pinnacle_combat. And yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait for tomorrow. This is going to be great. And I'm going to be texting you. I might even put some money down on some of these fights. What do you think?
Let me know. I'll send you some money. That'd be cool. I think we should do some. Let's do a parlay.
We haven't done that in a couple months. Might want to throw some
We'll
money
do it for
around.
the lads. We'll do it for the lads.
Yeah, we'll do it for the lads in the suit jacket. Dan, it's
epidemic.
I love it. The Epidemic Vucenic. I like it. I think he's going to be a star.
If he is, I don't know what his background is, but if he has a striking background, that could be your sleeper fight right there of the card.
Well,
because I know Kutalave, or I forget how to pronounce. I usually just have to hear it once or twice again, but it's like Kutalatse or something like that. Yeah. That dude from Georgia, dude can strike, man. So that's hopefully that's what the background of my lad with the sport jacket. So we'll see.
Well,
that's a fight.
Given the tattoos, I feel like he throws some fists. But
I feel like he's comfortable in those. I feel like he's very comfortable in the sequences. Yeah, 100%.
All right, Dan. Always good talking to you. Enjoy the night, and we'll
You
talk
too, man.
soon about tomorrow's fights, man. And
Sounds good, dude.
all right, we'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Thank you.